Yes. Yes. Welcome to another edition of the Hot Minutia, the sports show. I am Barry Lund II, not the first, not the third. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on today'scalifornia.com. We are live all over the universe, all over the Twitterverse, all over the metaverse. And we thank everybody for tuning in and everybody for commenting, people for just viewing the show, man. We're getting a lot of views. Views are going up. Please comment, and we will allow you to get your comments in and on the screen. What's up, Rudy? How you doing, brother?
What's going on, man? I'm doing good. How are you doing? That's the question.
I'm doing fantastic, bro. As you can see, I'm a little bit fresh today. Usually, I come in with a hoodie and a hat. Today, I got I had to clean up a little bit.
you gotta mix and match. If you don't mix and match, then you're
you
losing.
Always do that too. But when you wear a hat, you always seem to wear the Pittsburgh Steelers hat. So
I only have 40 of them.
You have 40 Pittsburgh Steelers hats
of all different types, shapes.
You got 40 hats that are all Steelers.
Well, probably like 45 now. At last count, about 40. But
wow.
They're all different. Got the throwback, with the notched hat, the fitted ones, the OFSA.
For sure, man, hat. For sure. All right, well, we have a lot to talk about. We got to get right into it. Bill Senso already comments. He says, good evening, Barry and Rudy. Good evening to you, Bill. We appreciate you for always tuning in. So we got a lot of things to talk about today. We had a quarterback who signed a new deal, a lot of money for the stuff that he's put out on the field. We're going to talk about Derek Carr re-signing with the Raiders. We're also going to talk about the Pelicans. They defeated the Spurs yesterday. We also saw Ben Simmons might be coming back in the middle of the series between the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics. So we will talk about that as well. Miles Bridges from the Charlotte Hornets. He got ejected out of the game. We're going to play that video where he's walking off the court and he turns around, takes his mouthpiece out like Steph Curry and throws it at a heckling fan, actually hit a little girl. So we're going to show you that video and we're going to have some reaction to that as well as the meme of the day. But let's jump right into Derek Carr. Derek Carr has now signed a 3-year, $121.5 million deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. I was about to say Oakland Raiders, with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, Derek Carr, he signed the deal a few years back, 2017. He signed a 5-year, $125 million deal. That seemed like it was worth a lot of money. Seemed like he got overpaid back then. But right now, it breaks down, this 3-year, $121.5 million deal breaks down to about $40.5 million a year. And he also has a no-trade clause, which is kind of ridiculous because we know Derek Carr has not been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, I wouldn't even put him in the top 15. Maybe number 15, maybe number 14. But at the end of the day, he does have 193 touchdowns to 85 interceptions. So his touchdown to interception ratio is pretty good. But my man is 57-7 as a starter. And when you look at what he's done in the playoffs, he's only made it to the playoffs one time. They're 0-1 in the playoffs, so he hasn't gotten done on that stage. I know that you're worth whatever somebody's willing to pay you, okay? And we know that there's at least 4 quarterbacks right now making $40+ million. So he's going to get what the market bears. But at the end of the day, I think that he got overpaid, and I feel like he should never have a no-trade clause on his contract. What say you, Rudy Reyes?
No, not at all. Look, Derek Carr has been overpaid for years. It's not a big secret. I mean, even guys who have been out of the league like Deshaun Watson certainly will, he obviously got his payday without even touching the field for over a year, sitting out while in a Texans uniform. But you look at quarterbacks, starter quarterbacks do not essentially grow on trees. They're not the ones you're going to find on low-hanging fruit. These guys are hard to find. Starters are hard to find. You're going to find more quality backups. Maybe not this year, but in years past, there's been a lot of great quality backups. And, of course, you have another quarterback that still has yet to sign anything because they haven't offered him anything, and that is, as you guessed it, Mr. Jackson over there in Baltimore. Lamar has yet to see anything from them. He hasn't turned anything down because nothing has been offered. So A lot of talk about where he's going to go, if he goes anywhere at all. It'd be a slap in the face if he did, because the Ravens had taken a pick on him, 25th overall in the first round. I was there, I interviewed him, just humbled to be drafted. But Derek Carr is a guy who, you're right, the ratio certainly plays in his favor. He's a guy who's been around the league for quite some time. He states he always wanted to be a Raider, will always want to be a Raider, and forever be a Raider. The problem with that concept is that he's thrown more interceptions, more touchdowns than interceptions. However, it's the timeliness of those interceptions and where he throws them and when he throws them. And that's one of the reasons why they're 0-1 in the playoffs, is because of that ball that he threw into double coverage that bounced off and went to the other team. So is he overpaid? Yes. The no trade clause is absolutely ridiculous. You're putting yourself in almost a franchise tag kind of state once that 3 years is done with. I wouldn't suspect that he's going to be, doing this for 3 years as a Raider. And to be quite honest with you, this is an organization that has no loyalty in regards to guys who just can't perform. And if he goes 0-2 in the playoffs, you're going to find out the reason why, and it's because of Derek Carr.
Absolutely. And Derek Carr has lost multiple games when he is not just throwing interceptions, but when he's trying to dive across the goal line and the ball goes out of bounds beyond the touchdown, and it ends up going from a touchdown to a touchback for the other team. So Derek Carr has choked in a lot of these games. Let's not forget that he also had that terrible knee injury a few years back that he came back from. He has put up okay numbers as far as touchdowns to interception ratio. But like I said, he has not gotten it done when it comes to wins and losses. 57-70 as a starter, 0-1 in the playoffs, as we so eloquently pointed out. But what I do want to say is this. They went out and got him the number one wide receiver in the league last year, okay? And we can talk about it all day. We can debate it all day. It's Davante Adams, okay? He leaves the Packers and goes here. Let's not forget he has one of the most dominant tight ends in the league as well, and Darren Waller. He's got a damn good running back in Josh Jacobs. I want to say that my bold prediction, though, although I felt like he's overpaid and he should not have a no-trade clause, my bold prediction, call me crazy, but we'll see if it happens. He'll be an MVP candidate because he will put up some god-awful numbers with Davante Adams. Let's not forget they were college teammates, so the chemistry is there, much like what you see in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So the familiarity is going to be there. Both of these guys work their ass off in the summertime or in the offseason. So that they're going to be linking up, whether they're in Cabo, whether they're linking up, in Las Vegas. They're going to be linking up and they're going to be running routes and they're going to be working, but be outside of actual practice together. And they're going to come in with that chemistry right away. I believe that Derek Carr will be a candidate. He might be like the last candidate on the list, but mark my words.
Well, one thing is for certain, Davante, I'm certainly going to put up good numbers, but not as good from a two-time MVP in Aaron Rodgers, okay? Because we know that Derek Carr is no Aaron Rodgers, and we also know that Davante Adams, despite the looks, doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to get the ball all the time. So his numbers are going to drop significantly because Derek Carr tends to overthrow balls. And again, it's really about the connectivity. Can they get the fluency going on the field? Is it going to be seen early on? Maybe, maybe not. College is not the pros, and the pros are not college. So when you look at the chemistry, it's been quite a few years, if I'm not mistaken, since Derek Carr has thrown a touchdown pass to Davante Adams. but to be honest with you, in all fairness, I think Davante will score a lot of touchdowns. Question is how many, and will those get picked off because of Derek Carr?
Absolutely, absolutely. Monica, she says, who cares? We care, Monica, and the people watching right now, the 1,000+ people that watch on Facebook, and the other people that watch on Twitter, they care, okay?
They all care. Everybody cares. Even I care.
All right, we are live on CoachellaValley.com, live on Today's California, live on Today's Canada.com. Let's jump right into another story that I really wanted to talk about. He's Rudy Reyes. I am Barry Long. The second, let's talk about the Pelicans defeating the Spurs 113-103. And we were kind of expecting that. I was expecting the Pelicans, who have played well down the stretch. They went out at the trade deadline and went and got CJ McCollum, who was a brilliant pickup. They added Valanciunas to the roster, and you have a superstar in Brandon Ingram, who is on that bottom tier of superstars, but he is actually damn good, and he's been good his entire career. He's just gotten better and better, stronger and stronger. And now we saw what he was able to do yesterday. He took over 27 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. But CJ McCollum has 32.7 assists and 6 rebounds, and then Valanciunas comes in with 22 points. When you got 3 guys scoring in double figures over the 20 mark, then you can pretty much expect to win that game. He also put in 14 rebounds. So the Pelicans, who played well down the stretch, they were one of the teams that really hindered the Lakers from coming into the playoffs and making it to the playoffs, because they whooped up on them and they were right underneath them, and then they just passed them. So the Pelicans have played well down the stretch. They finally make it into the playoffs. They got one more game to we'll see who they're going to play against shortly. I will bring up the screen of the NBA brackets. It's kind of complicated for those of you who don't understand how it works, but we'll show you here shortly. But yeah, my thought on the Pelicans win was, the Spurs, they're just not as good as they used to be, and I expected the Pelicans to win. What say you?
Well, there was a lot of things that I liked about that game. It's about the Pelicans passing. They were really crisp. They were very sharp. They got it to the shooter. And CJ McCollum has been a guy who, for all intents and purposes, has arrived at the right time in New Orleans, even without Zion and his presence on the court. Despite Zion playing around a little bit in a pregame warm-up, he wasn't ever going to touch the court. But CJ McCollum just found a way to get inside the paint. He was a great perimeter shooter. He was a great assist guy. And that's just who CJ McCollum is. I mean, he's done this his entire career. Now he's on the right team with the right chemistry to go further. Yesterday, it was really about the Pelicans scoring at will, getting inside, getting outside, getting the matchup that they wanted. And when you look at what the Spurs did, they really didn't have an answer for CJ, much less the passing on the exterior, much less the interior. They got inside the paint quite often. And you have Brandon Ingram along the way with that slam it, jam it down his throat. It was just fantastic. Watching that just made me want to curl up in a little ball, just like the guy who got posterized. It was just I'll put it this way. The way that I look at that game, the Pelicans were a flightful bird. They weren't flightless. They were flightful yesterday as they flew over the San Antonio Spurs. And CJ McCollum was a good reason why they did that, which was a great acquisition in the offseason to get a guy like that. Whether or not he'll be a facilitator to Zion, if Zion ever gets on the court, just like another guy we know, not to be confused with the mattress, because that's kind of how he's laying down right about now with that epidural. But I really foresee the Pelicans having to really step up their game, even if they have 3 guys in double digits. You're going to have to get those guys in high double digits with double-digit assists, double-digit rebounds, and double-digit points in order to have a chance against the next team.
Absolutely. And imagine if they added Zion Williams to this team. Man, this team could be they could be a problem in the playoffs. Now, here's the bracket right now. I'll take down the score real quick so we can see that the Pelicans, them now defeating on the left side, you see, they defeated the San Antonio Spurs, and now they must go up against the Clippers in order to get into the playoffs. So we will see that game. And also, this is going to be a tough game because Paul George is coming back from injury. They do not have Kawhi Leonard. We never thought that they would. I really like Reggie Jackson, but I really do like this matchup for the Pelicans. And I'm predicting that the Pelicans will defeat the LA Clippers, and we'll see.
Well, there's a lot of things that I like about this matchup. Paul George is in, but that's about it. He looked absolutely horrible the other night. I cannot believe that Paul George would have a game like he did, kind of similar to what we've seen from Karl Anthony Towns out of Minnesota. He just did not have that kind of night, shooting-wise, scoring-wise. He was more of a facilitator than he was anything else. Not to say that he didn't get his shots that he wanted. He did, but not as many as he needed to. So I really see the Pelicans, again, taking flight and taking control over the Clippers. And was really, really sweet is watching Patrick Beverley just go off. I mean, he went off. He was all over the place when he whooped on his other team. He is a scrappy guy. He's fast. He's quick. He's on the ins. He's on the outs. He's a great facilitator. One day he may make a good coach. we'll have to see and wait that jury out. But he was just very excited. I was excited for him, to be quite honest with you.
My man was crying. My man was crying.
He was balling on the way back. He did what he set out to do, and that was to win, to advance.
Yeah,
and again,
I love me some Patrick Beverley. He's always been one of the most dominant defenders in the league, and he's just scrappy. And I saw that what he did last year to Chris Paul, and I really did not like that because Chris Paul could have seriously got injured when he pushed him from behind and gave Chris Paul whiplash. He did get injured, but he could have got seriously injured. And I'm talking spinal cord injured. And you just don't do stuff like that. But if you just take away that out of your memory when you talk about Patrick Beverley, I feel like he is just one of the greatest defenders of all time, on-ball defenders, perimeter defenders that we've ever had. He's a pest. He gets underneath player skins, especially a lot of superstars, because he's the one guarding them because he's so good defensively. I felt like he should have been on the Team USA, but I also just feel like he's just fun to watch, and he's good for basketball. And to see him, just being so emotional and go off like that was great for basketball. Now let's look at this NBA playoffs bracket on the right side. Now we have Ben Simmons. You were the one who actually brought this to my attention first. Ben Simmons is now considering returning to the playoffs. Now, this picture of Ben Simmons right here that I have, this is the only time, this is the closest that we've seen him to wearing Nets gear. My man has not played, not suited up for one team this year, whether it's mental health, whether it's the back issue that he's got to get all this treatment on. It's just been one thing after the other. And Ben Simmons, we know that he can't shoot. We know he can't shoot free throws. We know he's just simply a great defender and a pretty good facilitator. But we may see him come back during this playoff matchup between Boston and Brooklyn. Now, Brooklyn winning that game against Cleveland automatically puts them into that 7th seed. So they will be playing against the Boston Celtics in a 7-game series. We may or may not see Robert Williams for the Boston Celtics. We may or may not see Ben Simmons from the Brooklyn Nets. But we've heard that Ben Simmons is reportedly from Steve Nash going to return maybe game 4, 5, 6, or 7. So a lot of people are thinking that it's going to throw off the chemistry for this team. I feel like they have enough firepower with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant that they don't really need Ben Simmons to do anything offensively. I mean, he could help distribute the ball. He could be that point forward. But at the end of the day, I feel like him coming to this team will be a very good thing for them defensively, because we all know that they have struggled defensively for a long time as a team. So Ben Simmons coming in, I think it'll do nothing but help. I don't really think he'll play. Kevin Durant doesn't think he'll play. I don't think anybody thinks he'll play. He's more of a myth than anything at this point. But I feel like if he does come into this series, he'll do good locking down Jason Tatum.
Well, you know what? He is a gremlin. And when I say gremlin, anybody knows what a gremlin is? You don't feed him past midnight, because he could very well get out on the floor. The problem I have with Ben Simmons is that epidural seemingly has got him to a point where he would be convincing enough to Steve Nash to say, you know what, let me play on the floor. The problem that I have with that entire scenario is you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. These guys already have a contingency plan defensively, already have a game plan. They've played an entire season without Ben Simmons. So it's not as if he's going to come in and be this, number one top ranked 5 defensive guy on the floor, because it's not going to happen. That's if he gets on the floor. Again, all based around the word if. It's if he's going to play, if everybody else thinks he's going to play, if he becomes that defender, if all day long. The problem is I don't like it. I don't think it's the right move. If you're going to keep a guy out and you're Steve Nash, and of course they've struggled a little bit defensively, but they've been able to offset that with KD shooting threes wherever he basically wants to against other teams. So I really foresee the Nets staying with the same motion. And if you do anything, the guy's just going to be in the defense and not necessarily on the offensive side of the glass, because he's got to absolutely contribute to nothing. He's just another body on the floor. It's like The Walking Dead. You're going to see him on the floor, be able to play defensively, get underneath the court. But at the end of the day, Ben Simmons is a non-factor, period.
Man. And that's terrible to say that, but he's been a non-factor
terrible,
this season.
It's true. He's been out the entire
when he's
season.
Healthy, when he's on the floor, when he's focused, when he's not going through these mental health issues, he has been a good defender.
He's a basket case.
And
He's going to turn
like,
into the Easter Bunny and hand you eggs in a basket. I mean, that's really what he is a basket case full of eggs.
Absolutely. Well, Maria Lascuna, she says, hello, guys. We appreciate you for tuning in. And Bill Senso wants to throw a curveball at us, literally. And he wants to know what we think about Dave Roberts pulling Clayton Kershaw while pitching a perfect game, only throwing 80 pitches yesterday. And this has been a long time debate in baseball because we've seen other managers do it to players, to pitchers, because they said, okay, at the start of this game, this guy is on a pitch count. He's only going to throw 110 pitches, 120 pitches. In this case, 80 pitches. And when a guy is rolling like that and almost has a perfect game, not just a no-hitter, a perfect game, then Dave Roberts and other managers have felt like they need to stick to their guns. They need to uphold the integrity of what their pitch count is, because if they don't uphold it right in this situation, then other people will. It's just a conundrum. But in my opinion, I felt like Dave Roberts was wrong for taking him out. Clayton Kershaw will come out and say that it's all good. But
I'm on the other side of the pillow.
At the end of the day, I know how old Clayton Kershaw is, but this is a rare thing to do in baseball. Okay, rare
or not, but it was the right call. Even Kershaw admitted it. He's
himself.
He's
going to say the right things because he's a good guy. But at the end of the day, he's pissed off.
He may as well be, but I'll tell you this much: at the injury rate that Kershaw has been throughout his career, It doesn't really shock me at all whatsoever that Dave Roberts said, you know what, I'm doing it for the player. I'm doing it for the health of our club. I'm doing it for his ability to be able to be available to us. Because, again, the best ability is availability, and that goes across all sports genres, including one named Clayton Kershaw, who's already won a chip. So keep him fresh, keep him handy. Dave Roberts did the right thing. He did the right thing, and Kershaw admitted it. Yes, he said the right things at the right time. And yeah, he may be upset, but again, it's one of those things where you have to take pride away. This is about a team win. This isn't a Clayton Kershaw win because, guess what? He gets to win a perfect game. Who cares? There's plenty of time for that. There's an entire season to do exactly what Clayton Kershaw wants to do. And if he's showing that he's doing the very same thing he did just the other day, and he does it again, guess what's going to happen? Dave Roberts will end up leaving him in.
I just think that, we know how injury prone he's been. We know how much time he's missed. We know how much he means to the Dodgers organization. But ultimately, I just felt like you got to throw all of that out of the window. You have to let a guy like this go and go after something that's so rare in baseball that it may never ever happen to him ever again in his life. So that's what we think about that, Bill Senso. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We are live on CoachellaValley.com, today'scalifornia.com, today'scanada.com. We appreciate all the comments. And he said, there's only been 23 in the history of baseball. So, I mean, come on, man. It could have been 24. It could have been 24.
No. See, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done and the Dodgers win another chip, let's say, and they take it away from the Atlanta Braves, do you really think that Clayton Kershaw's going to bark at the fact that Dave Roberts pulled him out when he just won him another ring? No.
Yeah, I understand. So this is all for naught. And I'm a Dodger fan, so I want to save Kershaw.
I don't have a dog in the fight.
Even then, I just disagree. All right, let's talk about the Packers real quick before we get to the Miles Bridges story, because we have video to show you. So you don't want to miss that. But the Packers signed veteran wide receiver Sammy Watkins. We've seen Sammy Watkins. He's come out of Clemson. He was so dominant, and the Clemson has had their share of great wide receivers come out of that college. They had DeAndre Hopkins, just to name one. Martavis Bryant was amazing until he got into all his off-the-field issues. But ultimately, Sammy Watkins, he's bounced around the last few years. He played on the Chiefs. He's played on the Rams. He's played on the Baltimore Ravens most recently, my team. And now he goes to the Packers. After the Packers lose Devontae Adams, they do need a number one-ish kind of guy. Sammy Watkins is no longer a number one wide receiver. He's a guy that you can put, number two or number three. But at the end of the day, he's effective at number two or number three. So I feel like adding him to this roster will help them, but it will not make them the favorites to come out of the NFC over the Los Angeles Rams. What say
you? No, not at all. Look, Sammy Watkins is just a plug to try to fill a damn hole, a literal damn hole, like a dam, like in Vegas, a damn hole. Okay,
yeah.
so
I forgot you don't.
I'm not sure everybody else understands that there's minutia behind that whole statement. So
I like that.
He's trying to fill the ocean with a bucket. It doesn't work. Why? Because we just talked about Devontae Adams headed over to Las Vegas, and now Sammy Watkins is a number 3 wide receiver, and you're going to expect a guy like that. I think the Packers will end up getting a guy in the draft in the wide receiver position to help fill that void. But Sammy Watkins is not that guy. He was good, really good at one time, but since then it's been number 2, number 3, and going back to 1, depending on injury situation, depends on what actually happens. And this is kind of a big deal. It's a $4 million deal for 1. And you know what's interesting? The NFL trend is these guys you'll have to see a lot of wide receivers, maybe a few tight ends that are going to get these 1-year wonder deals where you get $4 million for 1 year and call it a day. Sammy Watkins, that seems to be his MO, to be quite honest with you, for quite a few years now. He was good with the Chiefs, not so effective with the Ravens, but he was kind of effective with the Bills, but I really see him kind of, I don't know, taking a lot more shots from Aaron Rodgers. I bet he's excited to receive balls from a guy like that. But Sammy Watkins, he's just, again, a bucket trying to fill the ocean.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to the Miles Bridges. We'll give you, we only have a couple minutes left here. We will give our quick thoughts, our 30 seconds each on what we think he should get for this. But he was ejected yesterday out of a game, and you can see him walking off. He has a fan heckling him from Atlanta. He throws his mouthpiece at the guy, but he actually ends up hitting that girl on the far left right there.
Red sweater.
And here's it slowed down a little bit. So he's mad. He's trying to hit the guy with the yellow hat, right? He's trying to hit that girl right in the head. She's a teenage girl. Of course, he came out and apologized and said that he will accept whatever penalty that he gets from the NBA. But I feel like he should get a heavy fine. And I feel like maybe a game or two, knowing that they're eliminated, maybe a game or two next season. But he should definitely be fined. What do you think?
Well, he got fined $50,000, so it's not as if he got away scot-free. But you know what's more interesting than that is that he obviously he played basketball, right? He plays in the NBA currently, but could not really make a whole lot of buckets. But yet he was able to pinpoint somebody on the side of their head without looking. That's actually pretty talented. However, on the other side,
that's terrible, man.
Hold on a second. She did not think it was very funny.
$50,000 is a lot of money, especially to Miles Bridges. He's not making a max deal. He turned down a 4-year, $60-something million deal. He's eligible for a max deal next season, which could be over 100. Michael Jordan might pay him that, but I just don't think that. I just think
it was in very poor taste.
I think he should have got a game or two.
He did apologize through his exit interview. Charlotte kind of came to play, but they weren't consistent. Very sloppy with the ball. Ball handling was also very sloppy in that game. So at the end of the day, he takes full responsibility for what he had done. And clearly he should be. He should be very sorry and should actually apologize to her in person because of his behavior.
And give her some tickets or something for next season. Do something. Let her come and meet the team.
Well, she was actually a Hawks fan, so I don't know if she's going to travel all the way to Charlotte.
And he better do something.
Yes, he should.
All right, real quick, we got the meme of the day. This is Michael Jordan waiting for the Hornets inside the locker room because he's about to whoop that what because he's mad that they lost.
Lay the smackdown on these guys. Home run. Yeah, he did play baseball. For those that don't know, he was actually pretty good too.
And this is the Minnesota Timberwolves after they defeated the Clippers. They were like crying, acting like they won the championship. So NBA Memes official tells us that this is they feel like they're the champions. Real quick, let them know where they can find you at, Rudy.
We are the champions. Not yet. You can find me on Twitter at RudeDogReyes. Go to Instagram, Rudy R. Reyes there. And find me on Facebook, just as my name is not posted there on the lower left-hand part of the screen, but it is Rudy Reyes. Thank you, Mr. Barry. And find me on LinkedIn. You can find me anywhere, really. Don't forget, this episode will be posted on the RudeDogShow.com. If it's not there, it will be. Stay tuned, like it, love it, share it, because we, love that thing. So thank you.
Thank you. And Bill says we had a great show. And Maria also says we had a great show. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. You can find me on Facebook the way it's written right here. Find me on Twitter at BarryLong_2 or BarryLong II on IG. We are out. Stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember you're capable of doing anything. So go out and do it. Peace.
Do it.